But if she wants to lead with her chin and talk cronyism, let's talk cronyism.
It was only last week when we had this rebuke during an exchange between Shadow Health Minister Victoria Atkins and Health Minister Wes Streeting.
Why don't we talk about Owen Pattinson's lobbying health ministers on behalf of Randox? They care so much about cronyism, they welcome Lord Cameron back with open arms following his paid lobbying for Greensill. And for reasons of ongoing court cases, let's not even get into Baroness Moan and the £200 million contract for PPE.
Now it seems Atkins, keen to prove herself, wants to give it another go, wading in with such gems as this about the NHS during the guidance of the Tories.
It has more doctors, more nurses and more investment than at any point in its history. It is delivering tens of millions more outpatient appointments and diagnostic tests and procedures for patients than in 2010. And of course, we delivered the fastest rollout of vaccination for COVID in the world, freeing our society more quickly than other countries.
She went on for so long, eventually she was asked to bring it to an end.
Will the Right Honourable Gentleman confirm that Labour will delay these hospitals? And there is one...
It's difficult, but it's 5 minutes. It's now 6 minutes, 22 seconds. We're well over. Can we now conclude on that sentence? Thank you.
Very much. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And there is one part of Great Britain where on almost every measure the NHS performs the worst. Labour-run Wales. The Right Honourable Gentleman has compared...
I'm sorry. I meant you conclude now, not to continue with the rest of the speech. Secretary of State. No.
Here's Streeting's scathing reply.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The first word the Shadow Secretary of State for Health and Social Care should have said was sorry. She says she never pretended everything was fixed, and that's true, but it's about time that she admits that it was their party that broke the NHS in the first place. In fact, it's been a feature of debate in this House since the general election that the party opposite has taken absolutely no responsibility whatsoever for the mess they left our country in. A £22 billion black hole, a new hospitals programme she refers to, where the timetables were a work of fiction and where the money ran out in March. She knew that. She knew that when she went to the country to claim that the programme was fully funded. She talks about the decisions made by NICE, a new Labour reform and modernisation, thankfully one that did survive the last 14 years. And you know, Mr. Speaker, she's endorsed the Right Honourable Member for Newark in the Conservative Party's leadership election. I wonder what she makes of his admission that the Conservatives failed to make the tough reforms the NHS needed because they were afraid of what Labour might say. Is that not the most derisory excuse for 14 years of neglect? Mr. Speaker, my predecessor does not bear responsibility for everything in the Darzi report. This crisis was more than a decade in the making, but I wonder when she will show some humility on behalf of her party and apologise for the mess that her government made of our National Health Service. Otherwise, why should anyone trust what they have to say ever again? This government was given a mandate for change, and nowhere is that more needed than in our NHS. This report must mark the beginning of the long, hard work of change. It is the platform from which we will launch a decade of reform that will make sure the NHS can be there for us when we need it, for us, our children and our grandchildren. And Mr. Speaker, in conclusion, it must draw a line in the sand so that we never go back to the pain, fear and misery the Conservative Party inflicted on millions of patients.
Click here for round one of Atkins versus Streeting.